Welcome back, everybody, to Minor League Esports, presented by 8 p.m. Music. We told you the wait wouldn't be very long at all. Once again, my name is Grant CFO, and over on that side of me, I figured it out. I can look this way and I can see Thunder. There he is. He's here. He's ready for another one. It's Shadow and Flames in Academy League doubles, and this one is all a battle for number one in the division.
You know what? I'm going to give people a little bit of BTS here because I feel like they deserve it. And I just thought the conversation was hilarious between us behind the scenes when we were talking about how at the outset of every series, we're going to say, man, this means so much. It's so close. It's a divisional race. As it turns out, MLE leaves the broadcast schedule open at the end of the season to only have matches that are close divisional races that have playoff implications. So at this point, just take that as a rule of thumb for all the games you're going to watch. They mean something for what the playoff picture is going to look like for every league. And we do it because it's just more exciting that way. So this one... It's tied records, literally. Both teams are 37 and 18. They're a few places apart in the conference because of divisional lead and not divisional lead, but their records are exactly tied. So whoever comes out on top in this series comes out on top in general. That's just the way it is.
It is the way it is. And we just saw a series before this determine, are the records going to be tied or are they not? Those were those implications, but now we're here as if we had gone a week in advance and those same teams were playing each other again. They're just battling for number one in the division. Even if there's a close series, if it was just 2 and 3, the other team is more than likely still going to have a wild card spot, and then they can just battle for it and hope that the team they faced didn't do too well. But that's the hard thing, is when that situation becomes out of your control, it's very hard to feel comfortable going out the rest of the weeks, and everything is just based on how you play, not how the other team plays. So here, it's the chance that you need to make right now in order to give yourself the best advantage possible going in the last 2 weeks.
I mean, there are two phrases you're going to hear as a viewer more than any others from the casters over the next few weeks, and it's control your own destiny, or choose your own fate, or have your own destiny in your own hands. Some combination of those words is going to come up a whole lot because those are the scenarios that these teams dream about. They don't want to wait for match results to decide if they're going to make it into playoffs or not. And one of the things that can really secure that are very lopsided wins. Both of these teams want to win this series in a big way. They don't want a 3-2. They want 4-1s and 5-0s from here on out. And let's see if one of these teams has the ability to deliver that performance.
Well, there's 5 and 2 O's. Well, 4 if you count the score on the board. Clay HD starting off with a nice little double. TSM just wasn't around to get the job done. Now back on their back foot. TSM's going to take this one out to the corner and get a pinch downfield. Crazy. Steers it right back up the wall. What is that pop? I have no idea. Clay HD, though, make sure that nothing is to come of it. Binky Boppin playing it slow. It's a nice 50. I'm loving how this game is being controlled on 50s. In Premier League, in the last series, we saw a lot more of these 50s just really controlled, and it was just somebody would take over at some point. Now it's 50s deciding possession, deciding momentum, deciding shots like these from Crazy.
Brilliant soft touch here. This is exactly what was demanded of them in this situation. Had it been hit with the front of that bumper, that is off the crossbar, no doubt about it. But they were deftly aware of what they needed to do on that touch, and that's going to give the Flames the lead here early in this game. And Crazy is a name you're going to see up in lights, I would imagine, a fair often. They're actually the MVPR leader for this team, and they are, if I remember correctly, sitting in the top 10 overall for Academy League as far as MVPR goes. The only trouble is, on the other side of the field, Clay HD is literally number 1 on that list. So the Shadow are going to be nothing if not stiff competition.
It's a battle of many things, not only for number one in the division, but also for possibly number one in MVPR. Depends how this game goes, depends how the performances are, but we've got some high-octane players, despite the actual lack of octanes we see on the field. The only one, I think, being Clay. No, never mind. All right, Shadow, they're in it. They're feeling high-octane in a more literal sense, picking up that comfortability. As Crazy moves this one around the backside in front of net, blocked by TSM, who's got the space to work with. Puts one a little bit far out of reach, allowing the Flames to steer clear any incoming shots. Binky Boppin Pops this one actually out to the side wall. Here's a breakaway. Clay's just back on it. The recovery times are serving the Shadow well as the Flames. Be keeping your eyes on these MVPR leaders in Clay and Crazy. They're going to be the ones to look out for to make a play happen, except this time it's TSM first.
Great setup here from Clay, getting this air dribble close to target, and that is a very bold follow from TSM to go for an attack on that play. In a twos environment, that's high in terms of the risk-reward scale, but it has paid off here for the Shadow, and they've tied the game at the 3-minute mark. Now it's going to be the Flames coming back the other way. This bounce a little bit high. Binky can't quite handle that and actually peels, turns around. Crazy hits it into the corner. No boost to work with, though. They're going to have to retreat on that play. 2 players on the sidewall could be dangerous here for the Flames, but Binky just chips it right over top. And a snapshot is going to give the lead back to the Flames at almost the halfway mark.
Didn't know Binky Boppin played golf, but apparently that chip is going to just dust a chip off the shoulder of the Flames right now and put them up 1 goal in this game. Just phenomenal play. I'm loving the control. Everybody's kind of relying on that second touch after the setup, maybe going for the air dribble but not quite getting it. The follow-ups, while they are bold, they're working right now. It's that aerial play that begins from the ground that's really starting to make these plays work, although this one's just a simple shot that's a pop off the ground.
A simple shot, but I think a marker that the Flames are sensing a weakness here. That's the second time they've gotten a chip over top of that last defender who did not expect a shot. And it seems like spacing and defensive positioning could be something to be exploited here for the Shadow team. They're getting stuck in that awkward position between being able to challenge and being able to stop a ball on the goal line. And that is not an area of the field you want to spend too much time in.
What?
Clay wants to spend a whole lot of time doing that, though. You can guarantee that.
This shot from Clay is clean. Nails the upper 90. Yeah, get the confetti going. That's a celebration goal. Put the momentum back in their favor a little bit more. The Shadow only trailing by 1 now. Drop back in the hands of Clay. Oh, we saw that one in the last series too. Stop putting it towards your own net. You're going to give us a heart attack. We can't go much longer like this. Flames missing another opportunity. Binky Boppin tries to create the next one. Throws over to Crazy off the backboard. Not a lot of boost to work with, but it might just be enough to avoid the crossbar and put them up 2 goals.
Might just be enough. It feels like the team motto here for the Flames is that they're not doing anything fancy. They don't have any candidates for play of the week just yet, although I think they have the capability to do so. They're doing just enough to keep finding goals against the Shadow here. And the Shadow, they got to adjust something because the game is going to get out of hand. Really, a 2-goal game at 150 is manageable, but if another goal gets scored or if too much time goes by, it's certainly not going to be that way. And the Flames here looking to press into the zone again. There was a potential gentleman's agreement there, but yeah, I think it created some awkwardness in the rotation at the back, and it still results in a Flames goal.
Yeah, I don't know if that ever got locked in or who broke it. I'm just going to assume for the greater good that no one got locked into it and this one was a safe one, but maybe the players, I didn't see anything pop up in chat, so the players are okay with it. It was never secured. So that's the morale, the story that we're going to run with. We're just going to say it never happened. Flames get a clean goal off of them despite the momentary 1v1. We were talking a lot in the last series about how 1v1 skill is just something you need to have at that level. Now, if you have it at this level, that's what's going to put you over the top. That's what's going to make you better than your opponent. You're going to have that extra edge, the advantage that you need to figure out what you need to do in these awkward situations. So the fact that Flames are able to capitalize on those so well is already a sign to the strengths that they possess. And as I say that, they fail to capitalize on that next opportunity. It's Crazy, waits back deep, puts it to the side. Here's Clay right across the front, and again the capitalization just not there from either side. One opportunity per team being missed.
Feels like a little bit more hesitation that's going to really hurt the Shadow here too. TSM earlier in the game was very eager to jump on a play and find a goal for the Shadow, but that time they hesitated, and it opened up the back line here. Binky Boppin has just been really cashing in on a lot of opportunities to shoot at net. None better, I don't think, than that one. But 6-2 for the Flames is a statement game to start this series off. And we talked about how impactful it could be to have a big-time series win, landslide one way or the other. And of the two teams, certainly it's the Flames who look like they want to make that happen in this series in Game 1.
And I've seen the Flames a lot over the course of prepping for the pre-show, which was unfortunately canceled. Just like this shot was canceled and put back the other way. Shadow are going to get this. I was just going to say, I see a lot of the Flames in the Power Rankings committee, but we're seeing a bit more of the Shadow in this game again.
We are. They are going to get themselves a goal. Clay HG threads the needle through some floundering defenders heading back towards the net. And they get the third goal here. It's still time actually to find another one if they're really determined to do so. But let's see how the last 20 seconds of this game go as it gets sent down into the Shadow end of the field. Ball's spent an awful lot of time there over the course of this game. Clay with a chance now. Doesn't get the touch on that one though.
Again?
A little bit. Does harass that player in the corner. Doesn't force out a stalemate between them, but it does make things a little awkward for the defender. And as time finally winds down, it's still a very convincing 3-goal lead, 6-3 for the Flames here. And that's exactly how you want to start a series off if you want to find yourself a convincing win.
It certainly is, and I noticed a very, very small detail at the very end. Shadow. It was TSM who had an opportunity for that last goal. If they would have just thrown it into reverse, they could have steered the ball to let it roll back into the net. And I think that goes to show a little bit that the Shadow, one of their biggest weaknesses here, they're not really sure what they can take advantage of. They're not aware of the other opportunities other than just a blatant strike on net. They're not aware of what they can do with their car, what they can do if they're to find their teammate. I don't think they're getting as creative as they could be. So if they're listening in, like I know some teams enjoy doing, take that to heart. I hope the coach has picked out something like that and can be like, guys, we got to get a bit more creative. We can't just rely on mistakes. We can't rely on just punishing. We got to do something else. We got to be the special Shadow that we know we are and continue forth throughout the rest of this.
And one amazing thing to me too, if you see such a lopsided game in game number 1, these aren't two teams that had tied records around 500. These are teams that had tied records of 37 and 18, which is that points to a very strong team on both sides of the field. I didn't expect any of the games to be that one-sided, so it's that much more impressive to me that the Flames could come out so hot. They come out so hot in game 1. I tried my best to avoid it. Sometimes you just can't avoid it, so we'll lean into it on that one. But the Flames came storming out in game number 1. That took me off guard. It really did, but I don't think the Shadow are going to let that game happen again. They really have the capability to stop a huge lopsided game like that from repeating itself.
Yeah, I don't imagine this one repeating itself at all. I think that Shadow just weren't as warmed up as they would have liked to been. There we go. We will throw that one into the bin for ourselves. Get a pun in here. Now we're tied 1-1 in the booth. Just 0-0 on the pitch. As crazy. It's got the early shot off the backboard, cleared away by Clay HD. Takes it to the left side. Wants to catch low, get the dribble, has the open net, and won't miss it. It's straight down the middle for the first goal.
Well, this is a fantastic start if you're a Shadow fan here. Clay actually misses the ball initially on that play, but it looks like they had tons of field to work with, as you say, facilitated by that demo. And the Shadow here, I believe it was the Flames who got the opening goal in game number 1, so this is already a far better start for the Shadow. And it's something that they're going to have to build on, though. We know that the Flames are very capable of scoring heaps of goals in a game and really pouring on the offense here as they try to do that yet again. A pass into the mid, saved away by Clay. Off to the sidewall now. On the defensive retreat, the Shadow defense just getting enough of that ball to keep it out of the shooting lane. Touch into the mid, TSM. Tries to drop it down low for Clay, who now has to dive on that play. Crazy in the mid. Shot opportunity goes for low, and TSM definitely ready for that one. And the pace of play has picked up here, I would say. It seems both teams are liable and ready to play a little bit faster than they were. And perhaps that lends itself more to the Shadow. We didn't see that really, really fast style of play in game number 1. And it may be just a stylistic thing that's going to lend itself more to the other team now.
I think you're right. We've seen the Shadow warm up. They feel like they're playing how they should with a record like this, and how we saw the Flames come out real well in game number 1. Now that the Shadow have kind of matched that speed, we see the game a little bit harder to pick goals out of, as Clay's shot gonna get scored. We're still seeing a struggle of when it's time to go for the ball, when it's time to capitalize, and there's a pass or whatever, although this one's just gonna be done all by themselves. It's TSM.
It is, but it is, I would say, a defensive mistake. If you watch Binky right here, coming across the net, with the amount of boost they had in the tank, that's a very savable ball that they just hesitated on a moment too long. And so a situation here, a rare one, I would say, of just a defensive mishap on the side of the Flames has opened up an even bigger lead for the Shadow. They might have a chance to get that to go all the way in the net on a double tap attempt downfield. But what a turnaround here for the Shadow, and perhaps it was just that late goal that invigorated their offense a little bit at the tail end of game number 1 after suffering through quite a bit of control from the Flames.
It also comes from this change of pace that you were kind of mentioning a little bit, Thunder. When we're talking about everybody warming up and getting ready to go, that change of pace causes people, especially as we get lower in the rankings, it causes them to be a little bit more panicked, and they want to keep that momentum going at all times. They don't realize that it's actually good sometimes to slow down that pace and take a break. And so when that's not in effect, we see situations where the defender pushes up too far on the near post and they're allowed to get the ball. But at the same time, we're also not seeing the offense like I was talking about when that goal happened. We don't see them come around as often to capitalize because they're facing the same direction as the pass is going. They're on the right side, both of them facing left, when if the ball's coming from the right side, you got to be a bit more on the opposite end on the left side. But Binky Botman takes this pass from themselves as well, off the right side, throws it right under the defender. Super simple pass plays all around to themselves and shot.
Very clean mechanically, though, from Binky, because they hit that setup touch downfield and used the boost that they had to get back down to the ground and continue controlling the play. That's something that you start to see appear, I think, at a little bit higher level of a play. Normally, but whatever, forget that. Clay HD just scored another goal to regain the 2-goal lead here for the Shadow. And speaking of mechanics and having control of that, that's an excellent little play here. Understated, but definitely not a easy shot to hit after reading that bounce on the back wall.
No, not easy at all, but we're starting to see the mechanics come out a little bit more from both sides as we continue to feel warm. Crazy. It's a crazy read for the save off the crossbar and pinched out. Flames still struggling to get away. They are able to break away for a moment. Binky Boppin. A lot of stalled play in one area. Everybody trying to regroup and retreat at the same time. I don't expect the goal to happen too soon unless Crazy's got something to say about it with no boost. Binky Boppin with the boost steal. Gonna get demoed for their efforts. TSM over the head of one. Pass. Binky Boppin almost just needs to put it midfield for a teammate. Crazy, great coverage of the midfield to scare off Clay. Knew they couldn't commit for that one. That's how we see the Flames hold it off for decently long enough as they try to battle back for 2 goals. There's 60 seconds on the clock, and I don't know how much that time is going to be in their favor, especially now that the goal lead is extended to 3.
And again, it's a misplay here that you see from... That was Crazy who goes streaking by. I was barely able to read the name tag on that one. They went flying by the ball and just misread the bounce off of the ceiling. And this is something that the Flames really are going to have to clean up, because this lead is now as big as the one the Flames had in the previous game, but it's entirely the other way. And this is something that needs to be remedied as far as the defensive consistency goes for the Flames. The Shadow are continuing to pour on the offense here and maintain their control in that zone, the Flames zone, as that ball tapped towards the mid, not eventually going to be very threatening. That demo, however, is, and it's going to stop the Flames' push downfield. Binky gets a touch that heads towards mid. Clay tries to feed a pass upfield, but it's behind TSM. Now TSM off the back wall. Meaty bounce comes off the back wall, sent off the crossbar. Clay dives in to take the shot, and that's saved away as well. And the defensive consistency, it arrived a little bit late for the Flames, but it is here, and they at the very least they stem the bleeding, I guess you could say. They stop the lead from getting any larger for the Shadow, but the Shadow have, at this point, secured game number 2.
Sure, they might be stopping the bleeding for now. I just feel like they're doing too much, or attempting to do too much. You know, go for the ball and get a demo, or go for the ball and pass it when you can't pass. It's really hard to explain and more difficult to understand. But Flames, they feel like they're not taking that individual responsibility much anymore, or when they are, they're taking too much of it, and they're trying to become the hero of the story, and that's just not working out. We're not seeing as much team play as we have in the past from them in this series so far. And I think a lot of that team play is going more to the shadow. I really, really do like the way that Clay and TSM are playing in this series together. I think Clay kind of does a lot of the heavy lifting in terms of getting to the ball quick enough to make a play develop, and TSM is that really solid backup player that can make something happen. We see some goals, some assists at different occasions, and now it's a battle of consistency. I think if they can also get faster as a team to the ball and have more trust to be able to get faster, I think this is going to be a very successful team that finds their way into the playoffs no matter what.
I think as well, with the Flames, they capitalized on a lot of rotational mistakes from the Shadow in game number 1, where they were just firing shots over the heads of Shadow players who were not ready for those shots. But those openings, I think, pretty much evaporated in game number 2. The Shadow cleaned up their rotations a lot and didn't give a lot of those opportunities for borderline free goals, I guess you could say. Not really, but very makeable goals, I guess we'll say. And so I think it's a credit to the Shadow for making the adjustments they needed to, and suddenly it's going to force a counter adjustment out of the Flames where they've got to bring their game to the next level to keep taking games in this series.
It's also interesting how the first game was pretty one-sided towards the Flames, and now we see it completely flip the other way now that the Shadows start to feel their teamwork coming a little bit harder. There's Crazy, can't make it around. Oh, it's so unfortunate. Flames are really going to be kicking themselves to get that one back as quick as possible. Binky Boppin tries TSM there. Binky, one more time. Ball's back into the hands of TSM, and Crazy put it up fourth. Just trading possession back and forth. Seconds splitting it. Now Clay almost split it down the midfield, but it's Binky Boppin instead. Crazy gets their touch on it. We're seeing more trust from the Flames. TSM throws it back. Just out of resources to work with, and that's been one of the biggest deciding factors tonight as to who continues the offense longest, to getting the boost game on or playing Binky Boppin crossbar challenge, I guess.
What a play here from Binky, who just cleanly chips it over that first Shadow player. And Clay side flipping. You know what? Had they gotten a clean double jump on that one, I still don't know if they would have made the save on a smoking bar down shot from Binky, and that's the lead here for the Flames. And it is continuing the pattern of back and forth opening goals here. The Flames got the opener in game 1. Shadow then rebuttal in game number 2 by getting it, and it's gone back the way of the Flames again. So we may very well be we might have a series on hand where it's just going to swing in both directions back and forth until we get a game 5 decider.
I think so. That could certainly be on the horizon. Crazy wants to have something to say about it, doesn't get the read, but Binky Boppin's quick up to it to make up for the touch that never came. It's 2-0, just like that. Trips up Clay on the way back, and that's what allows them to have so much time. There was nobody able to rotate in, and especially when you're taking out that key player in Clay, who's the one to be quick to the ball and do a lot of that heavy lifting on the fast recovery times, the fast rotations backwards, and let TSM do whatever. Like I said, the interplay of how the Shadow work together. When you take out Clay, who's been able to control the pace the most, that's when you start to see the Flames overtake the lead a bit more and get these goals that they've been having outside of punishing opportunities. And now they've really started to notice when they take out one player in the Shadow, that disrupts the entire mojo that they've got going on.
That was, as you mentioned it, a brilliant bump. It's going to set up eventually a play downfield for Binky to capitalize again. And this is, you're witnessing a clinical finisher at work here in Binky, who keeps hammering these shots home when they're needed. And it is yet again a 3-goal lead for one of these teams. I'm just having a hard time predicting who it's going to be from game to game, to be honest. But this time it's the Flames. They're looking to take a 2-1 lead in this crucial series that will decide who leads the division. Grant, what division are the Flames and the Shadow in? I'm totally at a loss here.
I believe it's the Tropic division. I'm going
Tropic?
to double back.
Yeah.
Yes,
yeah, I think you're right on that. So this is going to decide the lead for the undoubtedly. And speaking of good at the game, I'm going to not say what I was going to say because I thought there was going to be a goal there, and there was not a goal.
It happens. Well, hey, maybe the post is just good at the game. We've all been there. We've done that. It happens. We'll call the post has probably racked out the most saves out of anybody in the history of Rocket League. Like, post, just go pro already. Like, come on. Clay, though, does take this one out on the side. try to make something happen. They take it away, finally gets it over to Clay, but that one's not on target at all. Now it is. Clay just had to take their time with it.
And this actually, if you look at the time on the clock, this is a very important goal for the Shadow to score, because we've had solid goal spreads in the first 2 games of this series that stayed pretty wide all the way till the end. This is the first time that a team has pushed back and tried to narrow this lead as the game has worn into the second half. So we might see a little bit of a different ending here than we've seen in the previous games in this series. The Shadow have got actually a ball on target.
Oh.
Clay could follow up on this one. They dive in, but they hit it the wrong way. TSM has the ball snapped over top of their head. And it's running back the other way for the Flames now. A pass into the mid. Binky set up for that one. Clay gets the better of it, though. Now off to the sidewall. Crazy. Light touch here. Tries to follow up with the air dribble and go for a double tap. Had a better chance at a pancake by the end of it. I think they might have gotten a flip off that one, but we may never know as it heads back down into the Flames zone. Crazy flicks it past that Shadow defender. Can they steer it towards net? You bet they can. And the Flames, they're going to make my prediction pretty moot here as they regain that 3-goal lead.
Yep, 1, 2, and the final 3 from Crazy. Just too much open space to work with. I mentioned Clay with those quick recovery times. I don't think TSM is really matching that. It took them quite a long time to get back to the ball. Uh-oh. Oh no, we've lost connection. Binky Boppin is out of this one. Which is unfortunate because the Flames would have liked to claw their way back, and now it's just on to pad the stats as much as possible, make it look pretty. Take the MVPR. Take that title to yourself. That's just what happens. The unfortunate circumstances. Hopefully it wasn't like a power outage or anything, or we might have to find a sub. We'll try to stall for time, see what goes on. Might take us a little bit longer to get into the next game. This one is just a big old question mark now. Shadow, wait a minute. I've had this backwards. Shadow have an opportunity to get this one back in a 2v1. I don't know why I thought it was a Shadow player that disconnected. But this one, this could be huge. If the Shadow take this away, what a sour story it would be to tell the Flames.
Well, it would be a heroic effort from Crazy here to stop the Shadow from scoring more goals in a 2v1 situation. That is one of 2 that the Shadow are going to need here to tie this game. And what an interesting situation we have found ourselves in here in this game with Binky disconnecting. It is now up to Crazy to protect what was a 2-goal lead down to 1. I think actually at the beginning of this, it was 4-1 when the disconnect happened. So what can Crazy do here? They have the ball defensively right now. They have missed that touch crucially as this one gets sent back towards the net. The reverse angle comes through, but the Shadow not capitalizing. And here's some time now for Crazy. Being bullied by Clay in the corner. Crazy maintains possession of the ball. It's only out into the mid though. Off the crossbar. Clay looks for the rebound and sends it in. And the game is tied now. And I don't think any MLE player this season might have been feeling more pressure than Crazy is feeling right now. Not to let the Shadow get another goal.
Not like this. Not like this is all I can say. Shadow. Fake kickoff, looking to do him dirty for the goal. Turbo flick, no demo. Crazy. Out to the corner. It would have to be incredibly heroic for Crazy to stop this. They need to keep their eyes on their resources. There they go, picking up the 100 boots. 10 seconds to fend it off. Binky Boppin is back in the match. They can join after the next goal is scored or when overtime clock hits. I think they know that. Yes, they do, but this ball has got to stay down. Crazy probably being told to keep the ball down. Don't go for another shot. Now they're all the way back, but Clay's going to hit it down. Binky Boppin can get back in the game. I don't know if they know that. Oh my goodness. In the nick of time, but it looks like they might still be having issues. Maybe controller, maybe ping.
Oh no.
Who knows? Oh my, not like this. I am so conflicted emotionally. They changed teams. They didn't even disconnect. They just changed teams. I am waiting for the explanation at the end of this one. I'm too curious to know. This one hurts.
Oh, it hurts. Grant, you and I are just the casters in this situation. For Crazy to have to play a 1v2 for that long And for Binky to rejoin in the game correctly, they followed the rules to a T and then just got a little bit confused at the end there, and it meant a Shadow victory coming back from 4-1 down to take this game and to take a 2-1 lead in the series. I don't think Not Like This even begins to describe that one, and it's so unfortunate here. And now this is a test of an entirely different kind for the Flames. It's going to be a mental test to see how much can they recollect themselves and get back into a positive mindset to try and salvage this series, because it's far from over. It's only a 2-1 lead for the Shadow right now.
Right. Man, you say we're only the casters, but the amount of empathy that I have for the Flames right now, like, I know, like, this game is going to be a testament. The rest of the series, like you said, it's going to be a testament to that mental strength that the Flames have and how they can pull through. But me right now, just being a caster, not being able to pull through on that, how do the players do it? How can I begin to expect them to do it? I say it all the time. I'm like, oh, just keep your mental desk space clear. But it's so much harder to do and pull off than to just say it. So, oh my goodness, yeah. We did get a little bit of an explanation in the chat, so why not share with the audience that I'm sure is as curious as I am? I think it's only fair. They didn't know if they were right to join or not. I think that was what it was. But they were. They didn't know it. Unfortunate end. I hit my microphone because I'm just excited to get into this one and see how the Flames can crawl their way back. Here we go. We'll see how that mental space holds true.
Well, Binky, after leaving that last match pretty unceremoniously, he was trying to make an early impact with an air dribble play off of kickoff. It's now in the hands of TSM and the Shadow into the corner. They get a flick over top of Binky. Crazy goes for the slow play towards the sidewall. TSM, I think, was fishing for a demo on that one, but can't connect with neither car nor ball. Now into the far side of the field. Binky can't collect along that back wall. Perhaps still a little bit shaken from what transpired in the previous game, and the Shadow, they're going to take full advantage of that to gain another lead for themselves here in Game 4.
Oh goodness, this one again, the mental is going to be tested to the maximum here. We already see Binky bopping, trying to go for those demos, trying to get some physical, literal revenge on a player that took away that game win from them. TSM, though, has an overarching shot, hits off the crossbar, and it's 2-0 now.
Oh, it's looking scary for the Flames here now. You had to imagine they wanted a clean slate at the beginning of game number 4. They wanted a fresh start and to keep things close and competitive, but that is far from the case here in the Shadow. They are really, I think, capitalizing on the momentum that they were given by the unfortunate circumstances of game number 3. But there is a lot of Rocket League left to be played here. Granted, it looks like the Shadow, who looked like the more willing team to take advantage of that, and they've extended their lead to 3 inside the first 50 seconds of the game.
I think Flames right now, what they need is more than just a mental reset. They need a chemistry reset right now. It's such a low point when that lead slips away from you and you got to battle back for it, and now you get 1 goal scored against you. You get 2, and then by the 3rd one, you know, your rotations are just completely off here. We see both players committing for the ball, and Shadow just know, oh, we can just capitalize on this. We can punish this. This is what we're good at when our rotations are flowing. Flames have forgotten every weakness that the Shadow have, and they've been focused on their own weaknesses, but you have to just put that to the side and be like, yo, there is no comma but at the end of this. It's not, oh, you know, we're good at times, but this is happening. We have to be like, okay, forget all the bad stuff. We're a good team. We were good a minute ago. We had their number, so let's get that back. Let's stop focusing on what's wrong with us right now and focus on what's wrong with the other team so that we can beat them and show them why we are good. I think that's what the Shadow, or what the Flames, are going to need to do in these last 3.5 minutes as they sit down 3 goals. But here comes another shot. Clay doesn't get there. And Flames have the solid defense, just looking for a counterattack.
Well, they are looking for that counterattacking opportunity. Not going to come, though, as the ball gets spit directly back into their end. Now a touch in the mid. Sent off into the center of the field here. That's a half-decent shot attempt. Going just off of target, off of that crossbar. Clay now. Chance to shoot downfield. Steered into the corner by Binky, who looks for the air dribble to follow up. This is a touch high from TSM. Sends it off the back wall. How much boost is in the tank? Oh, the bounce went a little bit lower than I think they were anticipating, but Clay's going to keep the pressure on. TSM with a final shot on target. And it's already back the other way. Crazy with a light touch. Binky grabs the boost along the side wall. Oh, what a brilliant touch away, though, from TSM, who at that point was completely out of boost. And now the Shadow, they're staying strong here. They really are. The pressure is starting to come from the Flames, but credit to the Shadow where credit is due, that they are maintaining the control that they have over this game. They really look like they want to close this series out in 4 and just have the last game come down to slightly a dignity game here for the Flames. But hey, the Flames don't want that at all.
No, they do not. This is a great touch from Binky Boppin after it comes off the sidewall. Great beat, great quickness. The defense just pushed up a little bit too far by inches. Just wasn't able to react quick enough. They didn't give themselves that time. And you know, it's a huge tip I'll tell to everybody that I'm coaching when I'm in free play. I'm allowing time for the ball to do what it's going to do. I'm always preparing for that worst case scenario, so I can get to the ball again, that second touch. And it's the same thing when you're playing an actual match. That's just the lack of the defense that the Shadow had at that point. They weren't allowing for the worst case scenario. They were like the second to worst case scenario there. And then the worst case scenario happened. A goal went by. But as for the series, that's not even close to worst case scenario. Imagine in a world where the Flames are able to get 2 more goals and give a taste of the same medicine to the Shadow that they had dished out earlier. That would be certainly a feat to watch unfold. Shadow aren't just going to let up that easily. They fire back into Flames territory.
It's in the middle of the field now with Binky Boppin trying to feed a pass into the mid. Crazy dives at that one, but the pass not lateral enough, I think. Binky had limited boost to try and get the right angle on that one. They've got plenty of boost in the tank now, though, as they try to get a touch out of the zone. It's going to be right back in the zone. Clay HD, light shot on target. And let's take that 3-goal lead back, say the Shadow. They want this commanding game to close out the series win for themselves. And now heading right on top of that final minute. This is a very tall order for a Flames team that are still, I think, in disarray after the technical meltdown that they had in game number 3.
For sure, you hit the nail on the head. How the Flames are probably feeling right now. And that last play, you know, the way that the Flames got their goal, we saw that unfold for the Shadow in that 4th goal. Just off the sidewall, you got a player midfield. So trying to hit the ball up high is going to be the place where you find any defense's weak point in Academy League, or at least in this series. If you hit it up to the backboard, if you hit it off the sidewall, if it goes up high and you've got the mechanics to reach up to it, it's going to be very difficult for a defender to read it off, you know, the sidewall, to get quick to it off of a kickoff, wherever the ball may go. If it hits the sidewall, if it hits the back wall, it's going to be very difficult to read it when you're on the defensive end. I even have trouble with it in Master League. So I'm just saying that is going to be a huge weakness to capitalize upon, especially as the Flames have to look in to Game 5 as Clay adds insult to injury with the 5th goal for the Shadow.
No doubt about it now. This is the series in hand for the Shadow, and the Flames are going to be playing to keep the standings as close as they possibly can. Right now, it's the Shadow who are on top of this division. I think that comes down to their previous head-to-head meeting with the same record in hand. So it's going to be an extension of that lead by 1 game for the Shadow. And down to the last 2 series of the season. After that, it's just about maintaining the lead and perhaps even making a campaign towards a conference lead for the Shadow as well. But we still have 1 game left to play in this series. And I talked about the Flames still reeling from what happened to them in game number 3. We're far enough removed from that now that I certainly won't say that they shouldn't be frustrated about it, but I will say it takes a leader on the field mentally to clean up the communication and really focus themselves to get a win in this last game, because it's going to be very important to do so.
It is going to be very important. We talk about all these matches, the way that MLE is structured for the broadcast, that these last 3 weeks are going to have only playoff implications on stream. So every game you see is going to have something to do with a team's chance at playoffs. And if you can't clear that mindset, then you might as well just not, I hate to say it, you might not be championship team material at this point. Flames, if they can pick off this game, that's going to show that they still want it. They still have it in them, even when things get hard. When there's a loss, when there's a goal scored against you, you can't beat yourself up for too long. You have to just dust it off, flip that switch, and be ready to go for for this next game that we're seeing. It's the last game of the series. You need to pick off every game because, like I said at the very beginning, even if you get a 3-2 loss or a 3-2 win, the other team, the team that loses, is more than likely still going to have that wild card spot. But if we see this go to a 4-1, it'll be a little bit more difficult and reliant upon what happens to other teams for the rest of the series or the season.
Oh, this is the Shadow trying to pick up where they left off by taking the early lead in the game. I mentioned that we had traded back and forth with each team in turn grabbing the opening goal, but the Shadow, they're going to be the team to break that trend. They got the opener in the previous one, and they've done so again here. And the Flames' defensive woes continue. I think Binky Boppin lost a tire driving across the net there and didn't have control of their car to make the save.
It's unfortunate, and it just landed right in front of them, too. Again, those frustrations start to linger in the back of your mind, but it's all about reset from here. Get the next strategy set up, ready to go. Keep the comms flowing. Play like you started the series. Play like it's game one. It's all fresh, because that's really what you're going for. You're going for a win in a fresh environment. Here comes Crazy down the right side. Past Clay has the boost advantage, 50 advantage going in favor of Clay, though. TSM off the sidewall. Crazy throws it off the post. Can the Flames get to it? It's an open net, and Binky will score. The bump on the back end ensures that there is zero chance the Shadow get back to it.
On the Flames, Binky Boppin here with the boost that they had all the time in the world to line that one up, and that must have felt pretty darn good after how unfortunately this series has gone for Binky in particular. It's nice to just get one a walk-in type of goal where you just get to send it into a wide open net. And we'll see whether that energizes the offense of the Flames a little bit here. It's going to have to energize the defense, though, as Clay has sent it into their end of the field, into the mid. A brilliant pass to TSM. TSM, the shot accuracy, not quite there.
Capitalize.
And now the counterattack starts. Nice chip. Binky Boppin is going to send that one home. And this is redemption round territory now for Binky, who adds a second goal to their tally.
Well, if the other goal didn't feel good, this one has got to feel even better. Getting that beat, catching the defense off guard, and running it back on a quick counterattack like that. Getting the pace back in your favor and getting the momentum back in your hands is what's going to propel the Flames to a possible win. They have that morale kind of restored now, and I think it's more of taking their frustrations out on this Shadow team. Every time they score, it's like in the comms, I hear it, it's just like, take some of that. It's got to feel great if it wasn't before, and Flames are looking to start on it again. I love that they've capitalized before. Can they do it again? Dribble play around one. Opportunity for Binky Boppin. They opt in to go for it. Just touched off the roof of the defending car. Clay up. Crazy with the dunk. And Binky Boppin steer to it. Yes, they can. 50. Still out to the corner, though. Or the Shadow. To keep control of. TSM long clear over top. Crazy. Difficult. Reed can't stop it. We're back to tie game territory.
Oh, such a tough one here for Crazy shadowing back on defense as TSM just absolutely launches one, gets perfect timing on the power shot towards net, and that was a pretty valiant effort on a very difficult save, but Crazy couldn't quite get that one clear of the goal mouth. And so we're sat tied at the 3-minute mark of game number 5 here. It's a 3-1 series lead for the Shadow, and it's a Flames team trying to get some redemption after some unfortunate circumstances. If you weren't here, the Flames lost a player to a disconnect in game number 3 while being up 4-1 and lost that one in a 5-4 overtime. So now this is really them trying to regain what they felt was a series well in hand, at least for stretches of time. And this is them trying to do that right here in the middle of the field. A little bit of a double commit on that play, though, is going to shut down their rotation for a moment. Binky sends this ball into the corner. Tries to get a pinch out to Crazy. Crazy takes matters into their own hands now in the middle of the field. Clay hits down long, and the Flames are going to have to reset on defense yet again here, but they do so reasonably well as a pinch sends out towards midfield.
I almost wonder if there is to be a 3-2 loss at this point, how the Flames are going to deal with that one, knowing that that series win would have been theirs. At that point, that's a lot to look back on and a lot to keep track of. So maybe it might be better for this goal to go in by TSM and the Shadow. I don't know.
I'd say probably not. I don't think any Rocket League player would ever wish upon themselves to lose a game just because it could benefit their mental state. But hey, I'm not one to make hypotheses on that kind of stuff. Who knows? But at the end of the day,
Exactly.
I think most people probably would take the win in this scenario. Oh no, that's a demo on the back line. The shot though is still going to come through. And Crazy, they on the situation living up to their namesake, that was a bit of a wild one on the back line. But just too much speed from TSM. They went whizzing right by the ball there. And Crazy sends that one home. We're now tied. A minute and a half of Rocket League to play, Grant. And it would be lovely, I will say, to see another overtime in this game where it's actually even strength on both sides.
For sure. Maybe a bit of redemption. I think you're right. I mean, I know you're right, that no player would wish for them to lose. Maybe it's easier to accept at the end of the day, I guess was the point I was trying to make. But yeah, I think morale currently is something that's very important. And we look out for the health of the players. I ain't trying to wish anything poor on them. Crazy has an opportunity. Here's one by Binky bopping over the head of Clay. No one in sight for the shadow net. And they will take the lead up. 1 goal for the Flames.
And Binky bopping with a little long bomb here over top of a shadow defender who was far too close. It's been several games since we've seen that pattern emerge that the Flames have jumped on so many times. But none of those goals were as important as that one was, I think, as the Flames have got themselves a lead with a minute to play. Although that is a crucial miss on the back line here. Clay centers it. TSM was going for a bump on Crazy instead. I think Clay probably wanted them to be in position for a shot on that particular play. Crazy uses the handle a little bit, trying to call their teammate in, but confusion abound here for the Flames. An errant touch out into the middle of the field. Hard shot on target. And Clay HD absolutely hammers one into the top corner. We've got a tied game yet again.
Hammer or drill? Because again, they drill the upper 90 from afar this time. We saw them do it in game 1 and they wrap up the series doing the same thing. I mean, maybe it wraps up the amount of goals that they've scored. We've got 2 very good teams, and I'd like to point out that Binky Boppin, after being disconnected, has picked up 3 goals in this game 5. They are out for blood. They are out for vengeance right now against this Shadow team, and they are not going to let up until something happens. You see the blood there as the explosion clears away, and the smoke. Crazy goes up for it one more time. Maybe Binky could get to it, but it's out to the side. TSM over and out by Clay HD. 10 seconds until a possible overtime, unless TSM had something to say about it. Binky Boppin makes the crucial stop in the midfield. Take it through the Shadow territory. If they keep it up off the wall, that was a for sure goal. No defender in sight. And it goes by the wayside. We're in overtime, and Flames need to start now and quick.
Well, that was a whole lot closer than the Shadow would have liked, I'm sure of that, but that ball doesn't quite stay aloft to allow some 0-second heroics from the Flames. And I've got my wish, and I think a lot of people's wish for that Game 5 overtime. This is a very dangerous situation for the Flames, but Clay thinks better of diving in on that one. Now the ball along the side wall here. I think he's going to collect on the dribble. Flicks over top of one. Lost a little bit of momentum on that car, though, and it's going to mean possession here for TSM. Wide open net, though. Oh, if not for Clay, who dived across. I think they camouflaged a little bit into the back of the field there. I didn't initially spot Clay on that play. They were there for that one. Now it's the Shadow back down the other way. We're approaching a minute of overtime played here, and I feel the nerves on the field for all of these players.
Yes.
It feels like there's that tentativeness, the hesitation that you see when all players are acknowledging the occasion that they're in with such a crucial match.
Oh, the miscommunication, though, there from Crazy. Maybe they can capitalize on it off the backboard? No, okay, it's dangerous. No, you're absolutely right. I can feel the tension. I can feel how tense it is. I can empathize with the amount of stress on the Flames right now and how they just want to walk away with this so bad. My only stream appearance this season, it went all the way to Game 5, and the second that my mental space was done, the second my mentality gave out was the second a goal went through, and that was about at the 2.5 minute mark. So that's when things start to get a little bit weaker, and we see things go the other way. This one dangerously back towards the Flames net, and it is all spoiler. Shadow are going to move even further into number 1 for the division. Clay is the one to secure it, picking up the hat trick at the very end of Game 5 overtime.
My goodness, what a series. It was plenty of drama in that one. That was that was definite. But I will say, what a monster half volley clear from TSM to set up that goal at the end. That was a lights out assist to give the Shadow an even more convincing 4-1 series win here. And the drama that in that series,
yes.
it was pretty insane to me how things ended up going. The Flames, this is going to be a hard pill to swallow, that's for sure, given how the loss was handed to them in game number 3. But I think their performance after that, and especially in this final game, was very commendable given the circumstances.
For sure, and it's unfortunate, but that's just the way the cookie crumbles sometimes. And now I'm feeling like getting cookies after that. That is the last series that you and I had here, Thunder. A lot of drama, like you said. A lot to be talked about for a while. Certainly an oddball series that we got to see unfold and be witnesses of. I think tonight was pretty okay, though, Thunder. Wouldn't you say so?
Oh, I wholeheartedly agree. I mean, we got a Game 5 decider in the first series that meant I had to do a whole lot of math, which as a caster, I will say, maybe that was the part I was least fond of on the night, but I had to figure out who got the divisional lead at the end of that one in Premier League. And then Academy League gave us a drama of an entirely different kind on that one, but definitely excitement any way you slice it. And that's, I pointed to it at the beginning of this series. This is why we choose the series that we do on broadcast at the end of the MLE season, because it's going to be nothing but that kind of excitement from here on out.
Exactly, and even as we push into playoffs and then get to conference finals and then grand finals, we have a lot of excitement coming up for you on the Minor League Esports Network, brought to you by, or presented by, APM Music. I've been Grant CFO, though. That's been Thunder, and we are out for the night. There's still 2 more series, even though it's been feeling like it's been forever already. There's still more MLE action coming your way, so don't go anywhere. Fresh pair of casters and fresh pairs of series. And hey, support the homeboys. The Aviators are actually up next after this short break.